Plaintiffs Joseph McQuality and his girlfriend Bambi Cook say the defendant is Bambi's cousin, and they used to do meth together. Bambi claims as a result of her drug use, the defendant got her kids taken away, but she cleaned up her act after going to rehab. Joseph and Bambi are suing the defendant for unpaid loans and rent. Defendant NICHOLE CAPUZZI admits that she was a meth addict for 17 years and claims she was basically a functioning addict. NICHOLE claims she sobered up after going to rehab, and now she has her children back and is continuing with treatment. NICHOLE insists the plaintiffs are suing her prematurely.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you all.
Nikki is my cousin. We grew up together. We used to be extremely close. In my early 20s, we started partying pretty hard together. We got into meth together. In February, she got her kids taken away. She decided to better her life and go into rehab. I reached out. I hadn't had much contact,
How long have you been clean?
I've been clean and sober for 10 years.
Oh, good.
So.
Okay. So you reached out to help?
I reached out. I know what it's like to not have the support when you're trying to get sober and trying to stay sober. And she wanted to be sober. So I reached out. I helped her when she was in rehab, kind of a support system so that she would have something. And it feels like...
Has she relapsed to your knowledge?
No. To my knowledge, she's doing very, very well.
All right, and you suspect she may be able to get her kids back sometime in the near future?
I hope so. She's done everything that they've asked and more.
All right, so before we get into the details of the loans and rent, you want to give me some background?
Everything she says is correct. I was addicted to meth for 17 years. As crazy as it sounds, I was almost a functioning addict. As there are functioning alcoholics, I did my everyday life. The only time I got sober in the last 17 years, besides going to treatment, was when I was pregnant with my 2 kids.
When was that?
When I was pregnant.
What year?
I was pregnant, well, my son is 12 and my daughter is 3.
Okay.
I took care of them while I was addicted, but I quit doing drugs while I was pregnant.
Okay, good.
And in February...
Were you neglectful since that time with their care?
I don't think I was. I think my children are amazing.
Okay, they may
smart.
be amazing despite their mama. How often were you getting high?
I was getting high on a daily basis.
I mean, how long?
For 17 years.
No. How long during the day on average?
During the day, all day.
Okay, no, you weren't attending to your kids. You were getting high all day.
You're correct.
So let's make that clear. You were neglecting your kids. Don't try to pretty it up. You neglected them, and thank God. Despite your neglect and your choice of crystal meth over your children, they survived anyway. Let's give them a hand. All right. And what are you doing now to avoid relapse? Because February hadn't been that long.
No, it hasn't been that
What have
long.
you been doing?
I have my children back, and we are doing good. I have a job, and I go to meetings.
There you go. That's what I'm listening to here. Good. Good. Well, it sounds like you're on the way to recovering. Glad you have your children back, and good luck to you. And the loans and rent you're suing them for?
Yes. The loan is for paying for her license. She got a rehab in beginning of April. We let her move in, didn't really discuss anything as far as rent, bills. You know, she's got enough problems going on.
What do you mean the loan was for the license? Her driver's
license?
license?
She had fines for her driver's license that had her suspended. 2 tickets.
And they amounted to $400, is that?
$418 plus a reinstatement fee of $60.
Ma'am, how much were these tickets originally? I'm just curious.
They were $200. It was like around $200. They were driving without insurance tickets.
And that's $200 now?
Yeah, in Wisconsin.
Well, these insurance companies have their way with it.
Right.
They just throw a number out there, and the legislatures and the politicians say, okay, do you come to my next fundraiser?
Right.
Okay, as long as you're there when I give that fundraiser for my re-election.
You got
All right,
it.
because in Michigan, for example, you have this fee you have to pay, not only a reinstatement. Well, first of all, if you don't pay the ticket on time, it almost triples. So then, of course, you can't afford to pay that tripled ticket.
Right.
So your license becomes delinquent and you get a warrant on your bench order. And then when your license is delinquent, when you are prepared to get your license back by perhaps paying, you have to take a reinstatement course or something else you have to do, and it ends up being, 2 tickets would end up being $900 each.
Wow.
In Michigan, typically.
It's crazy.
If you're not able to pay them immediately. But that was the insurance agencies lobbying the state legislature to do it so that they can make more money, plain and simple. And that was under a Democratic governor. So when it comes to these lobbying groups, these corporations who pay to go to these fundraisers, it's not illegal. When you buy a ticket to the fundraiser, it's just coincidental that they supported your bill and you supported their election. The biggest example some of you may have seen recently is the opioid crisis. The DEA gave specific directions and an outline on how to diminish the opioid crisis. And they gave it to the Congress folks who headed up the committees that oversaw the DEA, and they suggested a certain type of legislation to try and reduce opioid use through various policies that the government can implement. And here came the lobbyists for the pharmaceutical companies. And the lobbyists paid over $100 million, pharmaceutical lobbyists, to the congressmen and senators over the course of a few years, and they refuted what the DEA said, and they passed the legislation against the policy that the DEA was stating would help. All right, loans and rent, what do you say to that?
There was an agreement made about the $468 about me paying that back for my driver's license when I got on my feet. And we had discussed of after I got my taxes back, this is a little premeditated.
I don't remember about the taxes, but
I done told you all over and over. I've been saying that for 18 years. Somebody tells you they're going to repay you with their taxes, run the opposite direction quick as you can. Go ahead. What happened to your taxes?
The thing about it is they were insisting on getting my driver's license.
What happened to your taxes?
It hasn't came yet. It's not until next year. This all just went on this year.
You made the agreement when?
I moved in with him in April.
this was after.
I moved in
After
with him.
tax time?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is April
So you
of
knew
this
you
year.
were going to wait a year?
I didn't agree to the taxes, money at taxes. The agreement was basically.
Hold it, well, how did it come up? When the subject came up, what did you say about taxes?
I didn't even talk to her about taxes.
Who talked to her then? No one.
Me and Bambi discussed this. They insisted on getting my driver's license back.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about
But
you
that's what that's what they
agreeing
were
to
paying.
repay. No, that's not what we're talking about right now. I'm talking about something different right now, and you're rolling your eyes.
No,
your claim is granted. That's contempt. Have a good day.
I hope that she can stay sober. I don't want her to fail. I want her to be sober, to live a sober life for her and her kids.
That's what I'm doing.
I mean, it wasn't even about the money or taking her to court for.
Yes, it was.
It's
Yes,
for her
it
having
was.
to be an adult. That's
I
what
am an
people
adult.
do. I mean, you run from everything. You think that
I'm not running from
you
anything.
can ignore it, and it just goes away, and it doesn't. I've given you plenty of opportunity to try and pay me back, make out a payment plan, and you just ignored it.
The whole deal was I was going to get on my feet, and that's when I was going to pay you back. Living in a homeless shelter does not include being on your feet.
You had a job paying more than what I got paid, and I was supporting 3 adults and 5 kids. All you spent your money on was cigarettes,
For your girlfriend.
energy drinks.